Okay, here we go. Hello everyone, welcome to my first YouTube video. I'm going to be playing some mono Red Prowess in Modern. Two reasons I'm playing this deck. One of them, I just think it's actually very good. I wouldn't play a deck that I think is just jank or not that good. I think it's genuinely probably tier 1.5 at the moment, maybe tier 1. I think it's very capable of winning against any match. Secondly, it's the deck I own in actual real life cardboard, so it makes sense to play it. I haven't played that much Modern, dabbled with sort of mono blue, what's it called, Tron a little while back. It was good fun, it wasn't that great. This one I played recently in a paper event, 139ish people, something like that. Finished 12th, just narrowly missed out on top 8. I think my record was 5-2 with it. Lost to probably the worst matchup possible, which is Eldrazi Tron, and lost a tight match to, trying to think what it was, I think one of the mid-rangey based blue-black kind of decks, something like that. But the only one that felt unwinnable was Tron. And then in the top 16 lost to Ad Nauseam, which is the first time I played against it. Don't think the matchup's great. Basically a race. If they've got the pieces, they win. If I've got the pieces, I win. Didn't bring in the Blood Moons in that one, which I could have done in hindsight, but I think both games that I lost to the guy, he killed me quicker than that would have helped anyway. So I'll just go over the deck quickly. This is basically a stock list taken from Ryan Overturf. There's a guy on YouTube called Grimflayer, I think, who's been trying this list as well. Basically, I've been on this deck since it was mono red Phoenix. It was really great then. I had a lot of sort of late game. Oh, by Oz. Let's change the camera slightly so we don't need him anymore. So yeah, I was on it originally as mono red Phoenix. Then I tried the version with Steamkins. Steamkins are great. Steamkins are good fun. They're a very good standard card. To be fair, they were very good in this deck, but they are, I think, a win more card. If you're going up and down on them, and in the turn, yeah, it's very nice. But lots of the time, maybe if you just had an extra burn spell, an extra Bedlam Reveler, you would have just won anyway. Mishra's Baubles, a new addition to this one. I like it over the Kiln Fiends, which are now in the board. Seemed great when I played it recently in that 7-round tournament in paper. I've seen other people playing it as well. I've always wondered why burn decks don't play this. I can see why in terms of straight burn decks, but for this deck, the only downside is it's not a card which counts towards cheapening Bedlam Reveler, but it just keeps the gas coming. It finds you other cards like Crash Through, like Light of the Stage, like Manamorphose. It enables you to play with a little bit more information. Sometimes having a look what your next card is before you choose to fire off a Light of the Stage. Seeing what the opponent's playing with, see if they've got a Fatal Push or any other kind of removal spell on top before you cast another creature. All these kind of decisions makes it a little bit better. Just helps you churn through the deck a bit quicker, and this is basically a Bedlam Reveler deck. Without 4 copies of Bedlam Reveler, I don't think this deck would work at all. Everything you're doing, if you're not killing them on turn 3 with the sort of turn 1 creature, turn 2, 2 creatures, turn 3, cast all of the prowess triggers, probably a couple of lava darts, kill them. Then you're probably going to go turn 4, 5, 6, you cast this because you'll have gone through all of these cards, and then you'll probably just have a couple of cards, burn spells in hand, and you'll finish them off with that. Deck wins very quickly against a lot of different opponents, even through removal. Playing less creatures in the main originally, I was slightly worried about it, but you can even keep hands without 1-drops. I used to play the Blister Coil Weird version as well, which the idea behind that was get more 1-drop creatures, because hands with 1-drop creatures seemed better then. They probably are better, but you can keep a hand with, say, 3 land, a couple of Crash Throughs, a Light of the Stage and a Lava Spike quite reasonably, because you can just churn off a couple of those spells. You will find a Bedlam Reveler. It's pretty much guaranteed that you'll find one within nearly every game, I think. Just the amount of cards you have to draw. Manamorphose draws, Crash Through draws, Light of the Stage draws 2, Mishra's Bauble draws 5 of your 18 lands draw cards. So with all of that, you've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 cards which churn through the deck. 1/3 of the deck churns through the deck. Don't know what the odds are, but feels like every game you'll find at least one of these. In terms of the lands, it's quite stock to have 5 of the lands that you can correct to draw a card. I think I had 4 of them recently in my paper list, which is probably incorrect. I was dabbling with a version playing Underworld Breach, some fetch lands, a couple of white cards in the sideboard, but it seemed a bit too just unnecessary really. Otherwise you've got the normal 4 of here, 4 of Lava Dart, 4 of Lava Spike, 4 of Crash Through. Great card. The amount of games you can just win through a board of creatures with this is just amazing. Lightning Bolt, obviously the best card in the format. Swiftspear is great. Soul-Scar is great. -1 counters, the only time I think they're a hindrance. I've found it playing in paper against some of the Devoted Devastation decks. You can be sitting there with a Lava Dart in the bin and an X1 on the board. And the thing is, whichever druid stops you giving out -1. Well, the first -1 counter doesn't count. Just be aware of that. You don't want to look silly, cast that, doesn't work. Wild Slash is the sort of shock variant that I'm playing at the moment. Seems great. It's been popularised through Pioneer. Basically, the main reason for this one over Burst Lightning, which has the kicker ability, is if the opponent has any protection cards, any fogs, I guess, but I don't think fog's been played much. Gets around it, so if they bring in Core Firewalker or Burning, whatever it's called, you can just attack in, Wild Slash them. As long as your creature's power 4 grades, which it probably is 3 powers triggers, they can still kill it. Similar reason why we're playing 1 Bonecrusher Giant in the main and 1 in the sideboard. Bonecrusher is just really good against any grindier decks anyway. I've cast this a couple of times just as a creature when I had 3 mana against controlling decks. When they're on low life totals, that's great. Just a good card in general. It's that good that obviously Kiln Fiends have been pushed out to the side for 1 copy of this. So yeah, not much more to say about the main deck. Sideboard, we've done 2 Surgical Extractions to our Graveyard Hate. I think these are good right now with lots of people playing Uro in the sort of in the Oko slot of the sort of mid-rangey dirtling. Let's get most value out of cards like Emery, Urza decks, whatever sort of mid-rangey kind of decks are being played. Lots of them are playing Uros. Surgical's also good against blue-white / ban control decks. I think the potential is you could change this for Tormod scripts if there's a lot of dredge around, or just graveyard decks are seeing a lot of play, because obviously they have a sort of more of an impact instead of just picking off individual cards. Or you could play 4 ley lines. You can cast them obviously off Manamorphose. Obviously we don't have red-black lands yet. I don't know if they're ever going to get printed. I guess they will at some point in the future, but at the moment the only way to play them out of your hand with Manamorphose, in which case they'd probably be too late anyway, so you basically have to mulligan down to them or nothing. Dredge matchup is a bit of a coin toss. I think if they do their thing, they win. There's a chance that they can sort of go off and you can just block a little bit and burn them out, but the Creep and Chill is just too good. The amount of times I've got an opponent down to single digits and they've just found a couple of those, gone back up to 15, 20 life quite easily. So you could even Surgical one of them. You can Surgical the Ox, which is probably the best card in their deck now. So yeah, 2 of them, 3 Dragon's Claw for the Mirror and other burn matchups. Not much to be said about that one, that's obviously great. Kiln Fiend basically comes in when you think you're racing, so against Dredge, against decks without much removal that you just need to win quicker, I think. It just improves the chance of you casting this on turn 2 instead of a couple of creatures. Next turn casting 4 or 5 burn spells, attacking for 15-20 damage. I actually brought it in accidentally, well I say accidentally, when I thought I was against the new Jeskai Lotus Breach deck. It was actually an Urza deck. I'd beaten them game 1 without seeing many lands. Got away with it. They didn't have any fatal pushes, but generally I think it's correct against, say, Amulet Titan, Dredge, like I say, ad nauseum. I think decks where you don't think they're going to be able to kill it that easily, or even if they've only got, say, lightning bolts to remove it, it just taxes their removal a bit, so you can bring that in. Usually I bring it in instead of Mishra's Baubles, because there's a non-bow with that. Obviously it doesn't trigger it. I'm always reluctant to cut the Baubles because they're good, but they usually come out for more specific hate pieces. Abrade's good against any creature decks. Good against decks like Humans and Spirits, because they can obviously take out the Aether Vials as well. I say they're good against Eldrazi Tron. I don't think they're that great against it. Not sure I even bring them in there, to be honest. They Abrade's just a great card anyway though. Against any creature deck where they might slightly outside your creatures, you can attack in, Abrade something, Prowess, you know, shrink it down with Soul-Scar. One of by force I'm trying as my only kind of non-stock card. My main worry is against that Eldrazi deck. If they go Chalice of the Void on 1, Chalice of the Void on 2, it's game over. The only card you can literally play in your deck is, well, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You might have 1 or 2 sideboard cards, but generally that's game over. So there's a slight hedge against that. If you can play that, take out a couple of artifacts. In a pinch, you could even just play it for X equals 0, I believe. I've never actually tried it, but looking at the wording, you just target 0 artifacts, cast it for 0, get a Prowess trigger. Not sure if it's a good idea. Also toying with Goblin Crater Maker, which is 2 mana 2/2. You can pay 1, sack it to deal 2 damage to a creature, or destroy target colourless non-land permanent. It's good against the E-Tron decks because it takes out any of their artifacts, and if they're chalices, if you've got to cast it under a chalice on 2, if you've got to get it down early. Also can take out things like Reality Smasher, Thought Not Seer, etc. Extra Bonecrusher, I think just for the slightly grindier games. I think it's decent against creature decks as well, to be honest. It's quite good against a lot of things. I think it's against decks where you're not racing as much, you're trying to control the board slightly more, or you're trying to get a stickier threat down against control decks. It's good against Path to Exile, because of the extra 2 damage obviously, and because you get 2 spells in 1. It's just good against decks where card advantage is slightly more important. Yeah, good against other creature decks, goblins, things like that. Again, probably take out Mishra's Bauble for it. And then 2 copies of Blood Moon. I'm always a little bit unsure about this because it's 3 mana in a deck where nearly all of your cards cost 1 mana. Even the Manamorphose essentially cost 0 mana. These cost 1 mana really. It should be over here. Very rarely have to cast them for 3, but it's fine if you do need to. You can cast it pre-combat sometimes for the full cost. These cost 2, guaranteed. Never cast them for less than 2. Very occasionally it's still fine if you cast them paying 3 or 4. Nice thing about Bedlam Reveler I found recently is against Sultai sort of base decks, nothing much kills it. Fatal Push doesn't kill it, Abrupt Decay doesn't kill it, Drown on the Lock actually didn't kill it. I had 7 cards in my graveyard and left it like that for a while, just didn't cast anything for a while. So this card also can't be countered by a lot of things, quite a lot of the time. If they've got mana leak, you've probably got extra mana up by the time you're casting this anyway. The one they cast for free, which counts as non-creature spells, obviously doesn't counter it. Yeah, gets around a lot of things. Great card. So anyway, Blood Moon. Bring it in against obviously the big mana decks. Against most decks that are playing greedier mana bases, probably good against humans. I've not played against that much recently because the deck's not great anymore. But if you are playing against 3 colour decks, it's worth bringing it in. The only one I'm not sure, I haven't really tested, is against the new kind of banned control decks, which seem to have overtaken the blue-white control. Don't know how good it is there because they're playing Astrolabe, so it's a little bit potentially just a wasted slot if you bring it in and they've just got Astrolabe. They also play quite a lot of basics. So yeah, there's the deck. I'm just going to play on some free leagues. The nice sort of thing about them is you get to play against the Ranger decks, which I think increases your ability to sort of know the strengths and weaknesses of a deck. Sometimes you come up against some rogue decks which you just can't beat, but you're prepared for them in the early rounds of tournaments. Obviously the downside is you're not going to play against as many meta decks really, but they are free, so that's fine. Let's just go to find a league if it will work. Must say computers are quite old. I say old, it's cheap, old and cheap. I've set it up currently on my bedroom floor because that's the nearest place I can plug it into my wireless router, whatever you call it. So yeah, very, very temporary setup. I'm reading about coronavirus and said to get out and get some exercise. So I thought, yes, I will do that. I'll stay in and play Magic. That's the deck. I want modern tournament practice. None of these preliminaries too difficult. Let's join that. I'm guessing there's going to be quite a lot of people playing this at the moment. We shouldn't have to wait too long. I'm going to leave the preview thing up here for now. That's probably going to be right where my face is. Maybe in the way. We'll find out when we get a game going. There we go. So yeah, you always want to be on the play, obviously, with this deck, like 99% of Magic decks. The amount of games you can just win before the opponent does anything is pretty good. So yes, I would like to play. I think it's just done an update, so it's got all my little things on there. So this seems fine. 3 lands, we want 2 really, but 3's fine. 1 drop, a couple of burn spells, this one we can cast again, and a Reveler, all seems good. I will keep. No possible yield, let's put that on. Again, 99% of the time you want to lead with this guy. He doesn't have haste, so then if you draw a hasted guy on turn 2, or if you had him in your hand already, you can then attack with 2 creatures on turn 2, you get some prowess triggers. I was thinking earlier, the only time I think you'd ever want to run out the Swiftspear first is potentially if you played against an opponent who had, I don't know, they played a creature on turn 1, you want to protect the Soul-Scar Mage, you want that to stick on the battlefield, and you think the -1 counters are going to be more important. So maybe if you're playing against, I can't even think, maybe like a green-red deck, they play a whatever on turn 1, a Lana or Elf or Pelt Collector or something like that, and you want the Soul-Scar to stick around, but generally I think that's such a corner case it's not even worth worrying about. Wild Slash is fine, would like some kind of draw spell here, but it'll have to do. I think we're playing, looks like probably against Storm, could be anything to be honest at the moment, but I'm guessing Storm most likely. So I think I want to just maximise damage. I may even just cash this Lava Dart in this turn. Seems a bit aggressive. I don't think they can kill us anyway, they could create a blocker, so maybe I'll need that anyway. So I think we'll just go ahead. I think in fact we'll go ahead and cast these 2, save this for a 2 toughness creature. They have one that's 2 toughness, so we'll definitely Lava Spike anyway, don't need to worry about that. Let's auto yield to this. This resolves. Learn that you need to auto yield to your things quite early on in games, otherwise you'll waste a lot of time, which I am now doing anyway, this decision. We'll just go for the Lava Dart. I don't really want to exile it because I want the Reveler later, but we'll go for that. I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference here, we still don't quite know what we're playing against. So we'll go for that. There's no way of killing this anyway. We'll get in for 3, puts them down to 11. Round start. Get a combat swing with this dude. So we could obviously get another 1-2 points of damage in, that puts them down to 9. I don't think it's worth it at the moment. I think we'd rather save this. Again, it's a creature in the yard for Bedlam Reveler. I say instantly after that. It's obviously not yielding because we do still have a chance to cast this, but I don't want to. So yeah, 9 points of damage by turn 2 is not bad. Could do with drawing any one of our draw spells. So yeah, still looks like Storm here. There was. Storm matchup I think is actually good. The creatures have pretty much no way of sticking around. All of our burn spells, bar say Wild Slash on the 1/3 guy, the legend, I forget what his name is. Take them out really, so they have to do it the hard way, have to get to sort of 4 or 5 mana, and they just can't do that really. This is not a bad draw at all actually, it could get a lot of damage in this turn. No reason to not play the land out here, we're not particularly hiding anything but for 1 mana. And we're going to sack it anyway in a second for the Lava Dart, so it just keeps us with sort of healthier land count. I guess we could wait until after combat to play that land. Pretty much irrelevant I think. So we may as well swing in first, and they may misplay and bolt something before we I don't think they're playing bolts, but you know, no harm in doing that. And we are going to sack the land for the Lava Dart now because we just want to maximise damage, get them within a single burn spell, which I think we can actually do this turn. Haven't done the maths, but maths is for them. So double prowess trigger will yield to this guy now, or this girl. And still no responses, so we're just going to do this to here. Sack tapped 1, it's just good practice. 3, 6, 7 is going to put them to 2 I believe. Yeah, that's all good. So we can just rip a burn spell for the win now I think, or we can just even if we draw not the worst thing we can draw is basic lands, I think, at this point. I think it was quite important to flashback the Lava Dart there, because if had we not, that's 3 damage less, they would be on 5. Yeah, it's definitely Storm. Obviously the difference between 5 and 2 is 2 burn spells versus 1. Again, don't think they've got a way of killing these. If they cast a blocker, it may delay us slightly. If we draw literally nothing. It's looking good. Yeah, opponent's got nothing, no removal, probably not even a blocker. Maybe they've got one of their 2-drop accelerators. But yeah, that matchup, game 1, pretty strongly favoured for us. So Dragon Claw's no good. Surgicals are good. They have Past in Flames. Generally it's just a free prowess trigger as well, so I'm definitely going to bring this in. Abrades, I don't think there's any artifacts that we care about, and like I said earlier, the removal suite that we have kills all their creatures anyway, really. Kiln Fiend's a possibility. The only issue is they do cast a Empty the Warrens, doesn't really do much, but I do think I'm in the market for this. Similarly with Bonecrusher, potential. Blood Moon, not really any good. By Force, no. So Dragon Claw's out. I think we're on the draw. I'm going to take out some Lava Spikes, probably all of them. Okay, definitely cutting the Baubles. May just be simple and do this actually, and leave the Lava Spikes in. There isn't that much to control on the board, so we are still sort of racing. Surgicals have come in as well, so we need to cut a couple of things. There's a chance they have their own sort of graveyard removal, some kind of Tormod script, something like that. I'm not actually sure what the sort of current stock list. I had a friend who was playing Stormod recently, he's not currently. I think we just want to trim one of these anyway, because if we're bringing Kiln Fiends in, we're just trying to race a bit quicker. We don't actually need to rely on hitting these. If we hit a Kiln Fiend, we're probably not getting to the point of having to cast a Reveler. May trim a light at the stage as well. Similar reasons, we just want to find action. Wild Slash isn't that impressive here. Misses Bauble, Chief of Compliance, is the guy I couldn't remember earlier. But it does hit the other guy, so I may just cut a Wild Slash. Not going to bring the second Bonecrusher. Don't think. Empty the Warrens is the card that worries me slightly here. Still going to keep the Lava Darts, it's still quick. Yeah, I think I'm going to take out actually 1 Lava Spike, because the Wild Slash, 1 less damage, but it does hit creatures, so could be relevant. We'll go for that. Not sure if that's correct. Most of the sideboard when I do this, I've watched some people playing it, especially around over turf. I think Fred Kelly was a guy who played it a while back. He was playing, the first guy playing was I saw on a live event playing with Steamkins. So yeah, most of what I'm doing is just from what I've seen or what I've sort of gathered. I haven't had a huge amount of practice with this. So this hand looks good. We've got, yeah, it's very good. Mix of everything. We've got the Kiln Fiend that we brought in, which is nice. So we'll find out if that's good. Don't know yet. Let's find out. No possible play, yes, yield. No point in playing this any time earlier. They're obviously not playing any Field of Ruins or anything like that. So this time we obviously will play the hasty guy, because hasty girl, because we don't have any other option. I don't think Soul-Scar's relevant anyway, particularly giving out -1 counters, so not a big loss. Next turn we're just going to go attack with Swiftspear, Kiln Fiend, pass. Nothing difficult about that decision. Even though we've drawn this, we can play this on turn 3 anyway. If they remove the Kiln Fiend, they may have the removal for the Kiln Fiend, but doesn't have haste. We've got no way of giving it haste. I'm not going to play the land yet. Might slightly incentivise them to kill this more, especially if they think we're going to go light at the stage post combat. Don't think they even have. They may have. I don't even think they have bolts that they bring in. To be honest, I think they just have things like Into the Warrens. So still no point in taking the damage unnecessarily. Go for the Kiln Fiend. This could be very quick. If they have no way to answer this, we have the Crashler as well. They may obviously have a counter spell for it. Remand, I think they play. The one that bounces back to your hand. Probably have Repeal as well. Again, bounces it, but not for this mana. The worry here is that they go land, pump this up loads and they repeal it mid-combat, or they go Anger the Gods now. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I say it's bad. It's obviously disappointing we're not going to get the free win, but what have we got? 1 mana, 2 mana, 3. So we're still not going to use this land yet. There's no need to take extra damage. It could come down to them hitting us for say 18 in a turn. Yeah, that's a pity, but you know, they brought that in. That's a good decision from them. So we could go Bolt Light of the Stage pre-combat. Means we won't have to cast any of these, but I think that's better than we get the Prowess triggers pre-combat then, which is very important. So the only downside is we could do the Bolt to take out a blocker, but we would hopefully hit that in 1, 2, 3 draws essentially. We'll sort of have the crash through, so 4 draws, so I think we're fine with just doing this, maximising damage again. Yield to this. Cast this for Spectacle. So what we don't want to hit is any lands here really. Anything but lands and we're happy. Literally anything. Probably not Revelers at this point. There we go, land and Reveler, perfect. We don't think we're going to lose the Reveler and the land. I guess we're going to play the land, but that's pretty bad. Gives them a little bit of a window back into this. This plus that land from there is making me worried slightly about this. I forget Empty the Warrens, maybe 4 mana, obviously it's not any use for them now. Soul-Scars, average, what have we got? 1, 2, 3. There's absolutely no way we can possibly cast this Reveler, so play this. We may as well actually cast the Crash Through before the Soul-Scar because we're not getting Prowess triggers off that anyway, so in fact we could even just not cast it. Could save it a turn. If they get a blocker we get double Prowess triggers plus we can attack through it. I think we just want to find more gas quicker. No, I think we wait a turn. Probably should have played this post-combat, thinking about it now. It gives them a tiny bit more information if they've got reactive spells. They could have another one of these, it's unlikely. I think we just go for the 1 damage now and play a slightly more patient game. Next turn play both of the cards in our hand. It's a pity we're going to lose the Reveler, one of our best cards, but so it goes. So yeah, we'll just pass there. We're just going to hope both these survive. It will maximise a bit more damage next turn, and like I say, allow us to attack through a 1/3 or a 2/2 a little bit better, potentially. As I said, I'm not completely familiar with the this is terrible. Open with Crash. I'm not completely familiar with their list, so not sure exactly what instant speed. They could just have a bad hand. They could just be flooding out a little bit like us. Could also be sitting on something scary. I don't think there's any flash creatures we should be aware of, but none of these have flash, so they could just have nothing. We don't have the luxury to really play around anything particularly here. All we can do is cast our stuff. If we don't find anything on this, we'll play the land and crack it. We may as well do that now, because otherwise we're just casting this, so let's crack this. We're going to cast this anyway, but you know. Wild Slash is fine, so we could, if they've got nothing, they could just be dead here. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. I imagine they're going to remove one of these things. Could just be countering this, but I don't think they play that. Probably something very obvious about the cast here that will become clear, but okay, that is annoying. Maybe it's completely not Storm. It could just be a different blue-red control deck. That is quite bad for us. So obviously we're not going to bother casting this because we'll, it's not going to maximise damage. We're not going to get the Prowess triggers this turn. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Play the land. 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think we were one short of lethal anyway there. Oh no, we weren't. We would have had an extra 3, so it would have been lethal had they not had anything, and that would be surprising. So another board wipe would be quite bad here. This one's tough. I think we might be losing this one. They can just Sweltering Suns again here. I don't think there's any point in casting the Wild Slash. If they do that, obviously it kills it. Oh, it can't. Is it target instance? Yes, it is. Yeah, okay, I can see what they're doing here. It's going to be difficult. So, bounce. Oh, they are getting Sweltering Suns. It's always unclear, I think, when on Magic Online. It could be a little bit clearer which card they're actually targeting. It makes sense to do this. I thought they might have been doing this and setting up sort of bounces every turn, but that was very risky. If they were going to do that, it could just die to sort of anything in our hand almost. So yeah, nothing we can do about that. 3 damage we can't, unfortunately. If we had a Lava Dart, we could cast this plus a Dart out of the bin, save one of them, but as it is, we're going to have to do it the hard way. Now, Bedlam Reveler would be a good draw. We could cast this end step, puts them to 9. I mean, they've got 1 mana, they've got nothing. They could have a Spell Pierce, but we're not going to play around that. Hoping the audio, the light of the stage is good. Okay, hoping the audio quality is okay. If not, you can see what I'm doing anyway, so all of my misplays will be obvious by what I'm clicking on. We actually don't mind if they do have a Spell Pierce here. We want them to Spell Pierce this and not the light of the stage, but we'd rather them just not have anything. I imagine we've got Opt, if anything at all. So cast this. We just want to hit anything but land, literally any spells. The Reveler, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, let's pull this out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we did have the Spell Pierce after all. That's annoying. 5. It would, yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. It's not going to cost anything now because we don't have it. We'll pay the 2, but it means it's going to slow us down a lot. That's fine. That is fine. The question is now: do we getting? We could do 2, 3. We could do 4 damage, put them to 5 now through counter magic. I'm guessing they've probably got, I don't know, counter spell another Snapcaster in hand. Probably worst case for us. So I'm actually tempted just to get the damage in with this now. Then again, I think if they're countering this and not countering something more relevant, I'd rather any of these of our worst damage spells get countered. We've got better things. We've got Light of the Stages. We've got Bedlam Revelers. We've got just other creatures that will be sort of stickier threats. I still don't actually know what list we're playing against here. It could be the blue-red taking turns deck, but I haven't seen anything. I don't know what it is. It seems bad, whatever it is, but we'll probably lose to it now. So I'm going to save these. We draw a hasty creature, just any creature. I think. What's the chance? Second guessing myself now because I think we should have. We're going to have to play these next turn, so we probably should have played them just when they were tapped out. It gets the Lava Dart into the yard. If we do draw some action like a Light of the Stage, it sort of confines our mana somewhat. So I think I'm actually going to fire off this one then step. Couldn't have cast both of them actually anyway with the mana we had left, but if they counter this now, it's kind of a bit of wasted. Yeah, it's annoying. Probably should have cast it when they were tapped out, in hindsight. Again, yeah, should have. I think that's just a mistake. This is bad. So we're definitely casting this now. 1 card left. I think we're still good, because when we both go down to top deck, we're just going to win that. They can't really top deck anything which just wins them the game, does 20 damage. We can top deck a lot of things which churn into other things. This seems fine for them. They can get rid of useless cards, but I don't know. I think we still got a good shot. Any Bedlam Reveler is good now. Obviously, we trimmed 1. Yeah, Kiln Fiend's probably not looking great now. They probably have a good way of answering that, although they have just got rid of one of their ways of answering it. That's not a bad one for them. It'd be interesting. I would like to actually see what they're trying to do here. Maybe it is a sort of creatureless storm deck. I don't know I really don't know what they're doing. I'd like to find out, but if it goes well, we will never find out because we will just kill them before we know. I'm going to save this in the end. 1 damage is not worth throwing a landfill away at this point. That is pretty good. They could have Cryptic we can't really play around it. I mean, what did they do with this? Scry to both to the bottom, so they've drawn a random card, but 2 to the bottom. They've ditched this for a random card, which was this that they kept. So they've got whatever their draw was for turn, which is random, and whatever this draw was. We've got 2 random cards. The chances of a hard counter are slim. This is for 2 mana. We can play around any mana leak, or we can't spell paste it anyway. Could just be game over if they, as always, yield to this. If we draw anything of this, which is quite likely. That's incredible. Yeah, looks like game over to me. The question is, do we save these? I think the answer is no, because we'd rather, the Prowess triggers are fine, but you know they're going to be on such low life anyway. We may actually even be able to cast the second one this turn, which, yeah, we can. It's pretty good. Sweltering Suns misses them anyway, even if we don't have any pumps on them. We've got double pump next turn for 2 Lava Darts in the bin, so we're just going to go for all out. Don't think we're ever going to find out what our opponent was doing. Yeah, we're missing out Prowess triggers here, but we're just making sure we draw some guys. We just need, 1 or 2 3 damage burn spells here. Let's play the mountain, why not? I guess we play this first, and what can they have? They could have another. You know what? If whatever they've got, I think we're good here. Just cast another one. They've got full information now, so they can decide in terms of what they're going to counter or not. I mean, if they're going to counter this one, it would surprise me, because I think they're just activating this, are they? Why would they not counter the first one, unless it's a taxing spell like a mana leak? But yeah, I don't think they've got anything. They're desperate to find what Remand doesn't hurt us anyway, so I think it's going to resolve, and that's some good spells. Do we cast this now? Doesn't matter. I think what we do is actually cast this, take out, we just take out Cryptic Command, or I guess Snapcast is better to take out. We can just wait till the Snapcast, it doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. If they Snapcaster, then we just take out the thing that they target. They've got nothing. They've got no real chance here. I think the worst thing they could have is something like Arrow of Devastation, in which case we could even. So what, they're going to lightning bolt us? Yeah, it's desperate. Even if they go Arrow of Devastation, we can flashback a couple of these and make one of these survive. So it's just not gonna end well for them. Here's where they start chaining extra turn spells and just kill us. What we got? 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. 7 actually. I think we've actually got lethal. We probably just killed them last turn. 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. I could go for extra on there. Yeah. So this deck, I think the mistakes that I do make with it are sometimes just not realising you've got lethal when you actually have. I think we could have just gone for a last turn. Don't think it's going to matter either way, but yeah, there are turns where you've got more damage than you realise. So we'll go this end step. It's the worst one. That's the one they know about. This is free anyway, so if they go for any shenanigans, again, we don't really care about the Prowess triggers. We'd rather this just go in the bin, and it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter either way. Probably should have rolled the counter on turn, thinking about it, but sure. Cannon's not terrible. If anything weird happens in mid-combat or something, we can always crack this, try and find an extra burn spell. I think opponent, fair enough, you're playing on, but 2 cards. What have they got? Snapcast blocks one of them. Think they can cast something, they can't, because we'll take it out. Lethal on board. We don't even need to cast anything, so nice thing is I can just react to whatever they're doing. Snapcaster, great. What you're targeting? Probably should have cast that pre-combat to tap our stuff. Don't really know what they're doing there. Or attempt to tap our stuff. So yeah, 3, 6, this is 6 anyway, so let's just take out the lightning bolt then. We'll pay the life, thank you very much. That's triggers. The opponent concedes, I imagine. I mean, I guess they're not dead, because 4 damage is going through. But they are, because we have 3 damage here. And we can have a look through their deck actually. Hey, we will find out what they were trying to do. Through the Breach. Okay, Through the Breach deck. Don't know these decks very well at all, probably because they're bad. Generally, I think if you're not familiar with the deck, if you've been watching enough Magic, playing enough, I mainly watch more than play, but if you're not that familiar, probably because the deck isn't that good. We'll take out all these lightning bolts. So they're doing Emrakul Through the Breach stuff. Seems unlikely to beat us in any way, shape or form ever, so yeah, nice. And we will take out this one, I suppose, as well. That seems the correct thing to do. Let's not waste more time on this. The other hand was through. What was their other card in hand anyway? It was the Through the Breach, was it? How do we see this? Don't know. Why is it? I do not know the other card in hand revealed. Nothing. Okay. Waiting for a opponent to concede. I guess let's just kill this thing. Let's float the mountain first. Float the red mana first. Get even more damage through. And they've conceded finally. Good. Alright. I'm going to pause the video there and we'll load up for another one. Thank you very much. Bye.